I am a forensic genealogist. I work with probate law attorneys, banks, oil and gas companies looking for missing and unknown heirs. I work here in Texas, and we're going to kind of give you just a background to some of the basics about forensic genealogy. Forensics is an adjective which means pertaining to, connected with, or used in courts of law and discussion and debate. When I tell people that I'm a forensic genealogist, they automatically start thinking CSI and that we dig up dead people and all that kind of good stuff. That's not what it means. It just means that we work within the law, like a forensic accountant or a forensic psychologist. It's that type of thing. Forensic genealogy is genealogical research, analysis, and reporting in cases with legal implications. Whether it's
Kelvin, you need to advance your slides.
Well, it's
I guess, or maybe it's locked up on my screen. If you're advancing them there, then go ahead. That's fine.
They're advancing for me.
Okay, that's great.
Anybody else are they advancing for the rest of you? No. Tell you what, let me back out of this and I'll come back. Okay. I'm going to reboot PowerPoint. Okay.
Very good. Appreciate y'all's patience. Oh, there all of a sudden advanced. That was interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see this now?
Yep. You can probably go to the third, just slowly go to the fourth slide, I think is where you were.
Okay. So another, what we look at is using methodology and ethics consistent with the highest standards of the profession. Forensic genealogy is conducted by unbiased, disinterested third-party practitioners with no personal or professional stake in the outcome. Because I have to be able to go into court and testify as to who the heirs to an estate are or whatever, I cannot have a stake in what's going on. So you need to be a disinterested third party for this type of work. I'm going to run through just some of the different types of forensic work that you might know about or have heard about or might not think about at some point. Guardianships, though, when somebody needs a guardian, there are times that an attorney will contact you to ask you to help locate family members that might be able to help work with this person. In some parts of the United States, they're called conservators in our conservatorship, but here in Texas, we call them guardians. And they're normally created for a person if there's something, if they have some kind of disease, injury, or developmental disability that keeps them from being able to take care of themselves. In Texas, the guardianship statute defines incapacitated adult as a person who becomes physically or mental condition is substantially unable to take care of themselves, provide for their own food and clothing, take care of their own finances. They need somebody. And so you may be called in to, if the family isn't involved, if there's no family that we know of, then they may ask you to help identify maybe a cousin or somebody that can help take care of this person, because the court would like very much for the guardian to be someone they know and possibly someone that can, in the family, that can help take care of them. Normally, these applications are made by family members or somebody, maybe a doctor or somebody else. And they must have proof that the person has been examined by a physician, and they've also been examined by a psychologist. Like I said, they're trying to, supply names of spouses, siblings, children, cousins, whoever. If you get into this type of work, the attorney of record, the attorney ad litem who may be appointed for the case, or the court investigator may be someone who contacts you and asks you to help with this. And you can be the guardian of the person or the guardian of the estate or of both. Sometimes a person just needs somebody to help them take care of themselves. Others
Kelvin,
need,
just, can you go to slideshow? In other words, like click from current slide. There's up the upper left-hand side, just say from current slide. Let's see if that fixes the issue. Apparently it's not fixing it. So, okay, well, just continue to go on. You may pull down your, on the left, we could see the left, you just pull it down and see if we can, then we'll be able to see at least in small form. I don't know why it's not working on the big form.
Well, let's see here. Hang on. Find out where I am over here.
There you go. Yeah, if you just kind of, at least, yeah, then at least we can just kind of keep that rolling down there. That'd be great. Yeah, your past garden conservatory.
Did that help?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but if you just do that and click when that'd be great because it brought it up on the big side.
Ah, okay.
That fixes it. I don't know what's going on, but.
Okay. Well, like I said, you can either be the guardian of the person or the estate. If you're guardian of the person, you're helping take care of them physically. Guardian of the estate, you're helping with their finances. You can be one or the other, or you can be both. It just depends. Did that change?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Applications, like I said, can be made from family members or someone else who's interested to help the person out. Let's see here. So people that might contact you here are elder law attorneys, probate attorneys. There is a group called the National Guardianship Association, which if you are thinking about getting into this type of work, you might contact them on a pro bono basis to see if they have something you can help with. Dual citizenships. Sometimes people want to hold citizenship in 2 countries. The 2 most popular are Italian and Irish. And sometimes we are asked as genealogists to help with that. They may want to have a dual citizenship for a variety of reasons. And it depends on the country as to the degree into which you need to be related to that person, your immigrant ancestor, to be able to hold dual citizenship. I'm not going to go through all this because we want to get to some of the other things. You may be contacted by a real estate attorney to help quiet title to a piece of property, or if someone is holding property in adverse possession, they may need to know who the former owners were or who their heirs may be. Now, of course, here in Texas, I do a lot of mineral rights. People that are that own oil and gas leases, or someone or an oil company is looking to buy the minerals from someone. So in mineral rights, a lot of times the last mineral deed that's available may be 60, 70, 80 years old. And you are then tasked with trying to find the descendants of the last owner of the mineral rights. And again, this is something you have to kind of be familiar with, but you need to make sure that the last person who owned the minerals, did they leave a will? And if they left a will, did they mention the mineral rights specifically and leave them to a specific person or entity? If they didn't mention them in their will, then you look at their rest and residue clause. And if they say that, the rest and residue of my estate, I leave to, the Boys Town of America or whatever. So that's going to change your focus as to where you look for who actually owns those minerals. Now, if they die without a will, then you follow the intestacy laws of that state to see who would be the owners of the minerals today. And normally it's going to be family members. Adoptions are not as the adoption scene has changed greatly with DNA. Let me say that. When I first started doing this work, we were looking at the paper trail and looking for the adoption records, trying to locate the natural parents or whoever in a case or in a family like this. And today with DNA, there are the DNA search angels that help with this, and it has changed dramatically in our field about how we do adoption research. Now, there are also those that do missing, unidentified, and unclaimed personage. And sometimes the county coroner may need help trying to identify someone. So this is another area that you might get into. And again, with the advent of DNA, this has become a much bigger thing, and it's much easier to do than when I started in this early on. There are two programs that you might be interested in knowing about that work with this quite a bit. There is the Name Us, the National Missing and Unidentified Person System, and then there's Forgotten Ashes is the other one. Let me talk a little bit about probate, because that is where I cut my teeth originally. And in a probate case, let me go to another slide here. In probate cases, we are looking for missing or unknown heirs to the estate. Hope you can see this. If the decedent didn't leave a will, there are no immediate heirs. There's no spouse, there's no children, no siblings, parents aren't living. Then the forensic genealogist is called in and asked to help identify who would be the heirs at law. Now, here in Texas, we just keep looking till we find live people. They may be your ninth cousin 14 times removed that might end up with your estate, but we are looking for the living heirs. Now, in some states in the US, it is the level of kinship is sometimes cut off at first or second cousins. So that's as far back as you look. But here in Texas, we just keep looking for living people. I recently worked on a case where a woman died intestate. She was an only child. Her parents predeceased her. Her parents were both only children, so she had no first cousins at all. This woman was born about 1928. Her parents were born in the early 1900s. So we had to go back to her grandparents and their siblings to find the heirs at law. So we started out with having no family whatsoever, and we ended up with 325 heirs to this estate because we had to go so far back and find everybody in her grandparent, each of her 4 grandparents, siblings, and their children. So we had a huge estate come out of this. Now, sometimes a person will have left a will, but they say they wrote their will in the 1970s. They don't die until, this year. And the people that they leave things to, their legatees, sometimes you will be called in to help locate these people because we don't have a current address for them. Or the people that they left their estates to predeceased them. And then you have to find their heirs so that you can pass on the estate to those that would be a part of it. In those states where they cut off the degree of kinship at first or second cousins, many times, even if they left a will, you still have to give the family notice that there is a will and give them a chance to protest if they want to, if they're not mentioned in it. So sometimes you're just giving you're just giving notice to people as well. Some attorneys want full reports, some want affidavits, and there's lots of different ways to look at the records that you're going to be using. And let me talk just a moment or two about heir hunting companies. there are a lot of these folks out there that go into the courts looking for large properties, $100,000 or more. And they go out and do kind of the same work that I do. However, what they do, they go to the heir and say, hey, we think that you're a part of an estate, and we will represent you for a split at 70-30, the company taking 30%, the heir taking 70. And these people are not disinterested third parties. They are out to make a buck. And a lot of times they don't report all the heirs they should, because certain people may not sign their contract with them. And so they therefore don't sign those people. It's a very competitive business. And it's, if you get a phone call from somebody asking you to sign a contract for an estate, give me a call. I'll help you walk through it, because you really don't want to lose 30% of what you're going to inherit to somebody else. I don't do a lot of DNA cases because I work primarily with probate and oil and gas attorneys, but there are many of my colleagues that do DNA work where they are looking for, they use GEDmatch and other groups to help identify criminals and to get those people off the streets. And there are a couple of companies in the last few years that have come out and done this, and it's been a big help to law enforcement for these people to be there. There are also those that do military repatriation. They are taking the remains, they're given DNA information from the remains of soldiers who were fought in Vietnam, the Korean War, and other wars, and trying to locate their next of kin so that these men and women can have a hopefully a decent and honorable burial. So if anybody has any questions y'all want to ask, I will try and answer them to the best of my knowledge. I'm sorry for the glitches we're having. It was just kind of been a rough morning, but I'll try and answer any questions that you have. Anybody have any questions?
I don't see any questions on the chat, so you must have done a very thorough job.
Oh, okay. We'll go with that.
Let's see. There's somebody that says they're very interested in the field. So do you have a question you'd like to ask?
If you're interested in the field, I would tell you that
what about qualifications? Can you talk about what? Talk about qualifications, how you get involved in the field.
Okay. This is a field where you need several years of just background in basic genealogical research. And I would, it's one of the things that it's, how do you get that kind of background? I would tell you to work with maybe the unclaimed property or unclaimed people, or possibly ask a local probate attorney if you can help them locate someone and get some background to it. There is a course being taught at the Genealogical Research Institute in Pittsburgh, or GRIP, this summer, that myself and a couple of colleagues will be teaching on the basics of forensic genealogy. And then this course will also be repeated in 2023 in June at the Texas Institute of Genealogical Research, which hopefully will be in person and will be in Austin in June of 2023. But this summer we'll be teaching at Pittsburgh, at the Genealogical Research Institute in Pittsburgh, on the basics of forensic genealogy and help you learn more about it and getting into the field.
So if they want to contact you, the University of New Haven has a program. Are you familiar with that?
No, sir.
Okay. If they wanted to contact you, can you give them your like maybe your email address you would use or something if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, my email address is KLM, Kelvin Lee Meyers, KLM 4343 @yahoo.com.
And I just,
KLM4343@yahoo.com.
and I just put that in the chat, so they
Okay,
would be
thank
able to
you.
do that. So that'd be great. Any other
Thank you.
questions out there? Okay. What I would, if we haven't put you through too much stress, Kelvin, I'm thinking that maybe have you now, while I'm recording, we'll have you do the other presentation. And that way we'll have it recorded if somebody wants to come look at it later.
Okay,
Are you up to it?
sure.
I guess the same thing, if you'll just kind of click on the side ones as you go through, that will do it. So what he's going to talk about now is the record keeping and the digitization of records at the First United Methodist Church in Dallas. So,
John, you want me to just start over?
yeah, I think just start over, because we'll be able to, we'd like to put this on YouTube, and that will, kind of give them a, just start over and just do that.
Did that advance the slide?
Yes, it did. So if you just kind of do that, oh no, wait a minute, go back and click on slide number 1. That's just, yeah, right there on the, yeah, right there, just click on that. Yeah, that did it. So yeah, let's just go that way. So
Are you seeing it full screen or presentation mode?
I'm seeing it presentation mode. That's what's kind of strange, is it's not going full screen. In other words, you ought to be able to say just hit the slide from beginning and see if it'll kick in this time. Go to the upper, yeah, right there. It's, for some reason, it's just not doing it. I have no idea why, and I'm sure you don't either.
No, I don't.
So we'll just do it the same way. So if you want to click on the second slide over there on the, yeah, it works great that way. Now we're back on your other slides.
I'm gonna try something here. Hang on.
Okay, that's fine. We got time.
Go away. All right, let me move this here.
Oh, that's a great photo. Is that your family?
Yeah, it's my mom's family. Okay, now what are you seeing?
Now I'm seeing your mom's family.
Oh, oh, I know what. Okay, hang on. I'm going to stop sharing just a moment. I'm going to go back here.
Okay. We still have people that are interested, so let's go through this again. If you have questions, put them in the chat, and I'll try to monitor the chat. And oh, now it looks great. I don't know what you did, but we'll see how it goes this time.
Okay. All right. My name is Kelvin Meyers. I'm the historian and archivist for First United Methodist Church of Dallas, Texas, and we're going to talk a little bit about the records of our church and the digitization project that we are working on with the LDS Church. In the Methodist Church, the discipline tells us that we are to keep records on 4 levels: the local church, the annual conference, which each state in the United States is divided into conferences for the Methodist Church, the jurisdictional conference, and then the General Commission of Archives and History, which covers the entire United States. I am just the historian for my local church. So we set our own records policy, but there are certain things that they ask us to do, certain records that we have to keep. So our membership records, the trustee records, the administrative board, which today is now called the church council, and any committee structure within the local church. Now, my local church, we have records from Trinity Methodist and First Methodist. The 2 churches were combined in 1916 to create one downtown church. We also had a pastor in the 1940s and 50s, late 40s and 50s. In fact, he was here till the 70s, that he saw what TV was going to do, what it was going to become. And he and some fellow members of our church created a show called The Pastor Calls. It was a 15-minute show, showed on Sunday evenings. And we happened to have a lot of the film from some of those shows. And the Texas Image, the Texas Archive of the Moving Image, now has those available on their website. We also have a large collection of photographs that we're digitizing, lots of memorabilia and scrapbooks from our Sunday school classes. And we also have a centennial scrapbook that was put together in 1946. The Methodist Church in Dallas was created February the 4th, 1846. It was a part of the East Texas Conference, and Orrin Hatch, not y'all senator from Utah, but a local gentleman, was asked to serve the Dallas mission. And we became a church before the county was even created in April of 1846. This is the oldest record we have. These are the original 12 members of our church. And the Methodist Church was based upon classes. It was originally not a separate denomination. It was a part of the Episcopal Church. John Wesley, our founder, and some of his colleagues, they started creating classes where they were teaching the Bible. And so they were originally, this was known as the Dallas class, and these were our original 12 members. Our church met in various buildings throughout the city over time, the Dallas Female College, the Masonic Hall. In 1867, J.M. Browder and Sarah Cockrell gave land to build a church on Lamar Street. And being poor Methodist, we didn't have enough money for fire insurance. So we built our church next door to the firehouse on Lamar Street. Well, in the fall of one year, there was a circus parade in town. And of course, the firemen were a part of the circus parade. And the parade's like 2 blocks away over on Main Street. And while the parade was going on, the church caught on fire. And before the firemen could get back to the church, it burned our church down and also the firehouse. So we lost not only First Methodist Church, we also lost the local firehouse in that tragedy. This is the Dallas Female College where we met for some time. The Lamar Street Church burned in October of 1879. We went back to the Dallas Female College. And in 1882, we bought property on the corner of Commerce and Prather to create a new building. This is a picture of the Oriental Hotel where the Ladies Aid Society met the Saturday after the church burned. They raised their dues from a nickel to a dime and started raising the money to help build the new church. In 1888, we moved into the basement of that building, and it was finally completed in 1890. And this is a picture of First Methodist Church at the corner of Commerce and Prather, about 1890. And we were in this building until 1916, which at that time is when the powers that be decided to take First Church and Trinity Church and combine them to create the First Methodist Episcopal Church South in downtown Dallas. We sold the building that you just saw, and then they began to meet in the Trinity Methodist Church at McKinney and Pearl until our current building was completed. This is the Trinity Methodist Church as it was this is probably in the 1970s. Unfortunately, this building has burned as well. The first Sunday that the two churches met together, this is a picture of the two congregations outside the Trinity Methodist Church, which had just become First Methodist Church. So this new building that we were going to build, the Dallas Morning News, the local newspaper, called it the Cathedral of Southern Methodism, was being built in Dallas, Texas. And it took us several years to get the building complete, but this is a artist rendering of what the church was going to look like, and it very much looks like this today. It didn't change it much. There's a few changes that were made, but this is the church as it looked at that time. This is a piece of a material that was sent to the congregants about what your new church was going to look like and the different things that were going to be available in the new church. And of course, this was started in the 1920s, and about the time we got finished was when the Great Depression hit. And more than once, we almost lost the church, but the people came together, made the payments, and we are still in this building today. In 1968, when the Methodist Church and the United Brethren came together to create the United Methodist Church, that conference was held in Dallas, Texas, and part of the services for the uniting of those two churches was held at First Methodist Church. And this is just the program from that day. In 1963, we added on what was then called the Education Wing, another 1960s addition to the church. And this is what the artist rendering was about looking for that. This is the groundbreaking ceremony. The lady there in the middle was the oldest member, and she dug the first spade of dirt on this new building in 1963. I really do like this sign that says First Methodist Church, a building for the future in downtown Dallas, our permanent address. We've been at the corner of Ross and Harwood since 1926, and hopefully we'll be there for a very long time to come. As I said, the Texas Archive of the Moving Image has a lot of the Pastor Calls episodes on there if you want to look at those. And just in the last couple of months, we have partnered with the LDS Church to digitize many of our records, our membership records, our church newsletters and newspapers over the years, most of the minutes of what is today the United Methodist Women. It started out as the Ladies' Aid Society, became the Women's Society of Christian Service, and now as United Methodist Women. We are digitizing all of their records. The United Methodist Men, we will be digitizing a lot of other memorabilia from the church itself. But the membership records and these committee records are probably things that most of you would be interested in if you have people that were a part of First Methodist Church. So those will be up on Family Search very soon. And this has been a great project with them. They sent us a couple of missionaries that stayed with us for a week to teach my team how to use the equipment. And we've been down there we've been there 4 days a week, at least 4 or 5 hours at a time, working on digitization of these records. And we're just so glad to be able to preserve these records, and that they're going to be free and available to the public to search. So if you guys have any questions about that, I'm try and answer those questions for you as well.
But I just want to expand. Thank you, Kelvin. That was excellent. I love learning about the history of this historic and venerable church for downtown Dallas. But just for your information, what happens is Family Search has cameras, and the cameras set up with computers. And what we did is we placed it in a location within this church. And then, as Kelvin mentioned, his volunteers are going and using that equipment under a contractual agreement with Family Search to be able to make them available to anybody that searches for them on Family Search. So any questions or comments you'd like to ask Kelvin? Feel free to unmute if you can, or type them in the chat. We got some thank yous.
Good, thank you.
So